Police review a decades-old investigation into bribery allegations surrounding Tasmania's gaming industry.
The police report at the time was not adequate, and it also left many unanswered questions.
Budget eve and the government to pour more money into security as the opposition battles an image problem. An emphatic victory for centrist Emmanuel Macron in France. Where to now for Europe's parties of the far right? And remembering Collingwood great Lou Richards. Good evening, Peter G with ABC News. Tasmania Police are reviewing an investigation into bribery allegations against a former Deputy Premier to see if the 40-year-old case should be reopened. It comes after a book examining Tasmania's gaming industry raised questions about whether Kevin Lyons was paid off to bring down the government in 1972. Natalie Whiting reports.
It's a book that's opening old wounds.
As soon as I read that chapter, you know, the penny dropped. I just thought, this is a bombshell.
Opportunity, security and fairness. Those are the foundation stones on which the Prime Minister says he's built his second budget. Security was on display today as the Australian Federal Police got a $321 million funding boost. Here's political editor Chris Uhlmann.
Some might view what follows as a neat visualisation of the 2014 budget.
As we've seen, many of the big ticket spending commitments have already been announced. A short time ago, I asked political correspondent Greg Jennett what the government's holding back for tomorrow night.
Well, the gaping hole, Peter, in pre-budget announcements is obviously in the area of health.
Greg, there doesn't seem to have been much budgetary pain foreshadowed yet. Will there be many nasties tomorrow?
Well, almost inevitably, as governments move into those expensive portfolio areas of education and we're saying into health tomorrow, Peter, you do have to find ways to pay for it. So there is ample speculation around some top-end Medicare surcharges or some pain to be borne at the upper income levels.
Greg Jennett in Canberra. There'll be full coverage of the federal budget starting at 7:30 tomorrow night with the Treasurer's speech live from Parliament House. That's followed by an ABC News special at 8 o'clock hosted by Lee Sales and Chris Uhlmann. They'll have the first interviews with Scott Morrison and the opposition's Shadow Treasurer Chris Bowen. A new political dawn is greeting France with Emmanuel Macron set to be the next president. Mr Macron won 66% of the vote just a year after setting up his own party, while far-right candidate Marine Le Pen suffered a decisive defeat. The anti-EU, anti-immigration nationalist has promised to seize control of the country's opposition. Europe correspondent Lisa Miller is in Paris. The Premier has pledged to plough on with controversial legislation after the opposition gained a third member in the upper house. Labor's Sarah Lovell managed to edge out independent Conservative Tony Mulder in the southern seat of Rumney.
I'm really excited about getting out and engaging with the community more and encouraging people to be part of the decision-making processes that are before them.
The Nigerian president has welcomed home more than 80 schoolgirls freed by Islamist group Boko Haram. They were among 276 female students kidnapped in 2014. They were exchanged for several Boko Haram militants. Africa correspondent Sally Sarah reports.
Free at last after 3 years in captivity.
An air of optimism swept global financial markets after the French election result. There were strong gains on Asian share markets, including Australia's, and the Aussie dollar rose back above 74 US cents. Here's Alan Kohler.
Well, the Australian market rose 0.6% because the miners and banks went up, apart from ANZ, which continued to be dumped following last week's profit. Westpac reported its first half profit today. It was up 6% to $3.9 billion. And business confidence has surged to a 7-year high, according to NAB's latest survey. And trading conditions were quite a bit stronger as well. And that's finance.
AFL fans are mourning the death of former Collingwood captain and TV pioneer Lou Richards. A Rover who famously led the Magpies to a premiership in 1953, Richards went on to become one of the game's most recognisable media personalities. He died peacefully at a Melbourne nursing home at the age of 94.
Most certainly. He was variously known as Louis the Lip and the Kiss of Death.
North Melbourne's Jared Waite has been offered a one-match ban over a dangerous tackle. Waite was booked after this tackle on Adelaide's Tom Lynch, which left the Crows forward with concussion. The match review panel charged Waite with rough conduct and he'll miss next week's clash against Sydney. To the weather, and Robert Cassidy sent in tonight's picture of Bothwell. Here's Simon McCulloch.
Good evening. A southwest to southerly flow maintains some light showers about western, central and southern districts today, but it was fine in the northeast. Maximum temperatures today were actually above average about parts of the north and east, slightly below average in the west and south, and the state's high was 19 at Bridport. Overnight temperatures tend to be a little below average about the west and south. Hobart's range 10 to 16, Launceston 2 to 18 and 17 the top for Burnie and Devonport. Rainfall to 9 a.m, some reasonably solid falls in the west, but the highest totals were about the far south. There was 34 millimetres at Port Arthur, 34 at Mount Bobs and also at Mount Reid, but that would have included some melted snow in the last 24 hours as well. 14 millimetres at Cape Bruni and 5 at Strawn. On the satellite sequence, a southerly flow over the state today. You can see a little bit of cloud pushing up, and then later in the afternoon some higher level cloud moving in. More settled to the west under a high pressure system, and the next front is on this feature crossing WA. On the chart, high pressure systems to the west slowly approaching tomorrow. The winds become quite light tomorrow, in fact. It should be pretty well fine throughout, although there's enough of an onshore flow for some early showers about the east and south. This high will move over Victoria on Wednesday, extending a ridge over the state, and the next front's approaching. Northwesterly flow to develop and some late showers in the west after a fine day. And then that front, which is in this area here, will cross slowly on Thursday morning with showers in most districts contracting to the northeast in the afternoon. Interstate tomorrow, possible showers in Brisbane, showers clearing from Perth, Sydney and Melbourne, fine for the other capitals, early fog and frost for Canberra. Tasmania's forecast, generally light winds, but enough of an onshore flow for a few showers, as you can see here, about the southeast and maybe the east coast for tomorrow, but otherwise it should be fine. So looking around the state, partly cloudy for Strawn tomorrow, mostly sunny for both Burnie and Devonport, 16 and 17 respectively, and mostly sunny for Launceston, 3 to 17. A partly cloudy day for St Helens, a possible light early shower for Swansea. For Hobart, possible early showers and a range of 8 to 16. Sunrise tomorrow is at 7 minutes past 7. Coastal waters, southerly winds of 10 to 20 knots, up to 20 to 30 knots about the east in the morning. Winds will become almost light and variable for much of the state apart from the east in the afternoon. Southwest swell to 3 metres in the west and south, a westerly swell about 1 metre in Bass Strait, a southerly swell to 2.5 metres in the east, and a strong wind warning in place for the east coast. On Wednesday, possible morning fog and frost, otherwise fine until some showers develop about the west in the afternoon as a front approaches, with light winds tending northwesterly in the afternoon. Partly cloudy for Burnie, mostly sunny for Devonport and Launceston, and sunny and 16 for Hobart. On Thursday, a front will weaken as it crosses during the morning, with some showers extending statewide, then contracting to the northeast late in the afternoon. At this stage, a shower or two expected for Burnie, Devonport, Launceston and Hobart with a top of 15. That's tonight's weather. Here's Peter.
Thanks, Simon. That's ABC News for now. I'll be back in about an hour with an update. For news at any time, go to abc.net.au/news. Next up, 7:30 with Lee Sales.